world could quite possibly been here, and I lived in Rome, so that is saying a lot. Okay, so you're 4 aside, so including yourself, so let's do 5-aside team. What 4 players would you want on your team from this squad?
The first would be Victor Ulloa.
Okay.
I think he's the connector with everyone, so I really need him. Yeah, Kelvin Leerdam. I need goals, so probably Gonzalo.
Okay.
And Gregory.
Okay. I think that's
one more.
Is that 4? No, because you're 5. So
okay,
that's your
4.
Disappointing you didn't pick me, but I'm gonna let it slide because you don't know me that well yet. Funniest teammate. You can have one pass in these questions. You can pass this one if you want, but you have to be very careful because the questions start heating up towards the bottom. So.
Then I'll say Indy.
Okay, love it. Best dancer on the team. Pizarro said himself. Do you agree with that?
I haven't seen him dance though, but I cannot imagine him being like a great dancer. Probably Blaze.
Okay, worst
He got
dancer.
some moves.
Does he? Worst dancer on the team.
I haven't seen him dance, but I can imagine Ryan is not really the typical dancer.
Okay, and my last question. Obviously, again, you're new to the team, but your broadcast team, myself, Andres Cordero, or Ray Hudson, who is your favorite so far? You can say me. Okay, perfect. You also did take my head off in one of our pregame broadcasts that you still...
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, true. So I'll let it slide. Anyway.
It was not on purpose.
No, it better not have been. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. We'll let you go and go home to your nice hotel room, but thank you again.
Now, we were lucky enough to hear from both players. Took time out of their busy schedules. It's the last thing a player wants to do after a hot training session. So thank you to both Pizarro and Marsman. Now, don't go anywhere because we have more treats just on the horizon. Join us for the pregame show with myself, Thomas Rongen, and Chris Wittyngham.
Easy on the eyes, moving slowly like shadows in the night. There will be a reckoning, there will be a rise, something like you've never seen. The time has come. If looks could kill, it looks good, it looks good. If looks could kill. If looks could kill, it looks good, it looks good. Looks could kill. You'd be dead right now.
Welcome into the AutoNation Pre-Game with myself, Chris Wittyngham, Thomas Rongen. You guys, I miss you, but you get me twice this week, Wednesday and Saturday. Inter Miami playing host tonight versus Chicago. But before we dive into Chicago, I want to do a little recap of the New York City game, okay? Chris, what was your thoughts on it? Obviously, 2 defensively bad goals to give away, but what was your overall performance of the team? Because they started out pretty strong.
Yeah, I think it was ultimately a display of a team that is very secure in its identity versus one that's forming one. I think Inter Miami, over the course of a 4-game unbeaten streak, we're starting to show signs of this is who we're going to be every week. The thing is that NYCFC have been there for years. They know who they are every single time they take to the field. So the clarity of their passing, the chances that they created, they were the better team on the day. That ultimately, I don't think is where Inter Miami is going to make their money in this season. It's games like this against Chicago, bottom half of the Eastern Conference, the weekend against Toronto as well, at home. You're going to have to win these games if you want to make the playoffs, but I think New York City were just a little bit of a class above on the day.
Thomas, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Chris, obviously, in the overall feud. The only thing I would say is, and Marsman came out, even Phil Neville, that we lost our way after giving up that first goal, which, by the way, was Leerdam's mistake. The second goal is Leerdam's mistake. It's clear now to Phil and us as well that in a 3, Leerdam is not one of your 3 center backs, quite frankly, because that's not a familiar position with him. And it showed on both goals. Loss of concentration on both goals as well. And then we lost our way because we started bright. You look at LGP 2 twice testing that back 4. Morgan being able to get in the end of it. That shot, by the way, that ricocheted. It could have been a goal with Higuain doesn't end up that way. I think overall, as Chris said, these are the games, not just Chicago, but Toronto, you can and have to win. NYCFC is just still a bridge too far, maybe.
Thomas, I feel like you should have the hosting chair because you just teased, if you know what that means, Thomas, I know you do, just our presser with Phil Neville.
We've got
What's happening?
injuries. Ryan and Ventura Alvarado will be out for this game. We think we've got Robbie back. He's back from his from the concussion protocol. He's trained today for the first time, I'd say, with the team. So we're just going to see how he is in terms of fitness. He's done nothing for 12 to 13 days since Orlando. So it's a big ask for him to probably start or play major minutes tomorrow. But ultimately, we need to focus on our performance and ourselves, on sticking to the game plan, picking the right team, choosing the right system, and to try and beat a really, really good side in Chicago, who I think have got 7 points from the last week. Watched them against Columbus, watched them against NYC, and I think they're a really outstanding team who I thought beat us fair and square in the game in Chicago. So I think it's going to be a really, really difficult game.
Yeah, very, very important games ahead. Like every game is tough for us. We don't have even the top teams, the lower teams. We're still we're ourselves low on the league. I think for us it's important to see game by game. So now we're focusing on tomorrow, the game against Chicago, and don't get ahead of ourselves. We try to focus on each game because they're coming fast after each other. So I think it's very important for us to focus on the game tomorrow, to be ready for the game, to give everything. And we need all players in the squad to be ready to come in, to help us, to bring energy. And I think we really have to do it as a team. So we're being prepared for tomorrow. And after that, we see what comes next.
Well, we just heard from both manager and player, and every game matters. Well, we're lucky enough, we're at a match tonight. Inter Miami playing host to Chicago. I will say Chicago on the road struggles, to say the least, but we got you on the pregame show. You tried to cut me out of your selfie. I'm going to let it slide. It's the play-by-play for Chicago. Tyler Cairns, thank you so much for joining us. It's a real pleasure. Now tell us all the details that we need to know about Chicago and how to beat them here tonight.
Well, first of all, yes, they have struggled on the road. That is not a secret. I'm really thrilled to be back in South Florida, which I called home for about 3 years, right before Inter Miami came into fruition. So this is exciting for me to be at Drive Pink and to experience First Division soccer in South Florida again. But for the Fire, they've been unsuccessful on the road, but the performances have been there. It's just been the result. I think that Inter Miami fans can probably relate to that a lot, that there are games where sometimes you feel like they probably should have gotten more out of it, but they just simply don't. For the Fire, as of late, they've really turned it around. It was a Philadelphia game about a month and a half ago where they switched to a 3-back. And since the beginning of the start of the season, it was about a 1-7-2 start. It was really dire, and there were a lot of question marks. They made this change to the 3-back, and since then, they've won a few more games. They've gotten a few more bounces. The game against Columbus, a ball that hits the post in the 92nd minute, usually goes in for the Fire on the other side of the ball. But they've started to play a little bit better, and they're starting to find a little bit more belief with Raphael Wicki in this 3-back system that they really only played at MLS's back last year under Raphael Wicki since he took over in between 19 and 20. So this is a group that's still learning how to play together, still learning how to system. And I think that over the past month and a half, we're really starting to see it come to fruition. And particularly a couple of players like Alvaro Madron and Gaston Jimenez, who have really elevated their game and starting to play like the DP and the big TAM player that I think a lot of Chicago Fire fans expected. So one of the players that's really stepped in and played well in recent times is Luka Stojanovic, yes. In that midfield, leads the team in goals scored. What is his reintroduction brought into this team, and what kind of threat can Inter Miami expect from him tonight? I think the simplest answer is that he's brought something to the Fire, which is goals. I mean, I know that that seems like the easiest answer, but he has a nose for goal. It's buried deep inside his Serbian DNA. He knows where the ball is going to be. He's sort of just like moving off defenders, and he's moving in a way that you're not really sure where he's going, but he found the ball off a deflection of Brian Gutierrez, and it ends up being the game winner. He finds 2 goals inside of 8 minutes against Red Bulls after not starting a game for a month. So
this is a guy who was sort of an odd man out. When they went to the 3-back, they lost a midfielder, and he was sort of the guy who was left out of the starting 11. And he had a combined 45 minutes after being the leading goal scorer for the first half of the season, combined 45 minutes in the last 5 games, starts the last 2, scores 3 goals, 2 of them which are match winners. So more so than anything, he doesn't have a tremendous amount of pace. He doesn't do a ton of defending, but he scores goals, and the Fire have really struggled to do that, especially Robert Beric, who's their highest paid player, one of the highest paid players in the league. You brought him in to score goals. He hasn't done that, so they've been desperate to find somebody to just put the ball in the back of the net, and Luke has been that guy.
Now I'm looking at Chicago, and I'm looking at the defensive record, 3rd worst in the Eastern Conference. Do you think that that's changed around since changing in the formation with that 3-back?
100%. And I think that one of the other big things that's happened over the past couple of games is the introduction of Carlos Terán, a young player who came over from Envigado of Colombia, and he was hurt for almost the entire beginning part of the season. Now he comes into the fray, and he brings something a little bit different from the Fire in the back line. Usually it's Johan Kappelhoff or Wyatt Omsberg. First of all, he's 6'4". He's absolutely massive. He's quick. He makes good decisions, and he's not afraid to go direct. And that's something Raphael Wickie's been preaching. The Fire want to put the ball down on deck, play the beautiful game the way that's meant to be played. But at times they've been caught trying to be too pretty, too tiki-taka. Carlos Terán's not afraid to just send it over the top, turn defenders, and let the Fire go play in somebody else's end. So I think him coming into the lineup, since he's come into the lineup, they've gotten 1 clean sheet and only given up 1 goal and shut out NYCFC after they had pumped in about 11 goals in 3 games. So they've clearly done something right over the past 2 or 3 weeks defensively.
What's the message of Wiki going into this stretch of playing games on the road? We just talked about historically they haven't done well. You mentioned 2019 almost.
Yep.
You can go back there.
It's 6 in a row on the road for them.
Correct. What's the overall message to the team, or the 2 or 3 phrases that maybe Wiki is using to get this team going in the direction as they've done at home as of late? Only 2 losses out of 9,
Yep.
2 clean sheets in the last 3 games as well. How do you transfer that on the road? And what's the psychology, frankly, of not being productive on the road? What are the reasons, and how do you rectify that?
I mean, Raphael Wickie is an incredibly pragmatic man, and he really doesn't believe in bad omens or curses or poor form. He can't explain why they're bad on the road. He's not trying to do it. He's not trying to reinvent the wheel. And at the end of the day, this is a coach that he's basically laid it down a couple of weeks ago where he said, we're going to stop setting midterm long season goals. We heard about Greg Manny and LA Galaxy sort of doing that and putting it up in the locker room saying we need this amount of points by this date. Raphael Wickie has learned that his group is not maybe goal-oriented, but they're task-oriented. He just wants them to simply take it 1 game at a time, whether it be at Drive Pink Stadium, whether it be at Soldier Field, whether it's at Exploria on Saturday where they're going to take on Orlando. It's simply 1 game at a time. He doesn't want them to think about all of the road woes that they've had, and it's dated back even further than 2019 for the Fire. And really, nobody at the club can really explain it because it's been different regimes, different owners, different coaches. So it's really not 1 or 2 phrases for Raphael Wickie, but he just wants his guys to take it 1 game at a time, 1 challenge at a time, focus on themselves. And I know that sounds like almost like a cop-out political answer, but that's truly what he believes. And he's just been very matter-of-fact with his group, and he doesn't want them to get ahead of themselves and they have to find a way to win on the road because this is a team like Miami that's trying to make a push for the playoffs. You don't win on the road, you're not going to get into the playoffs. It's as simple as that.
Okay, well, before we let you go, I love a good hot seat, okay? And since you agreed to come on our pregame show, better city, Chicago or Miami?
Oh, you're really going to do that to me? There's no better or worse. Listen,
Sitting on the white picket
I live in Lincoln Park.
That's my man right
here. I love
here.
Lincoln Park, but I still pick this here.
How about this? I'll give you this. I prefer thin crust Miami, South Florida style pizza over deep dish, and I will die on that. I cannot do deep dish. It's like a cheese casserole. It's not real pizza.
It's pie.
Witty,
It's pie.
Witty, talk to this guy.
Okay, well, enough about pizza because I'm starving.
Do we have any pizza?
Yeah.
Can we get some?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hang out with me. Yeah, there will be pizza.
Who's the host of this show? Clearly not me. I can't get a hold of it. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I'm going to put that out on Twitter that you picked Miami. We got more after the break, so stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it.
AutoNation is growing. America's largest and most admired automotive retailer is hiring for all positions at over 300 locations. Sales, service, support staff, and more. Apply online today at jobs.autonation.com.
Today tastes like a fresh start. Like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds. and like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual, and it never tasted this good.
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF, made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here, the Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature Applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new Bourbon Bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Island?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone.
Get 'em on the
table.
I don't have an insurance plan for my phone. It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
Welcome back into the AutoNation Pre-Game Show. And then there were 3. Let's talk tactics because we haven't even dived into tactics. Usually we talk an hour of tactics. I want to go over the Inter Miami starting 11 because there has been some changes. I'm feeling it. I'm all about it. Tactical board. Let's start from left to right. Obviously, Marsman in net, McCoon, Miguel, and Perez in that back 3. Gibbs and Morgan as your wing backs or your wide through the 4 with Pregame and Tweedy in that midfield unit. Robinson, Higuain, and Vasilev up top. Let's start with the back line, okay? Because this front line really excites me, and I feel like this is what we have been lacking, this attacking presence. So, this back 3, what are we making of it?
Talk to Chris about that, because Chris had a great conversation, actually all 3 of us, with Andres. Who asked the coach Neville yesterday, we were training, why these decisions, why LGP and Figal. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think McCoon, you made the point earlier about Leerdam is not really a natural center back. I think we kind of saw that in the last match. But the interesting decision is Figal to anchor it rather than Gonzalez Pires, because normally Gonzalez Pires has anchored the back 3. And what we were talking about with Phil Neville was maybe Nicolas Figal, when given the defensive responsibilities, is thinking about that. I think Gonzalez Pires might be more comfortable stepping forward, pressing, intercepting the ball higher up the pitch. He seemed to have had more joy when he's come forward than Figal, and so I think it's better to have Figal anchor the back 3 rather than Gonzalez Pires.
And what are we making of? Let's go to Gibbs, because I just did a pre-match interview with him. He's delightful to say the least, and I asked him, have you adjusted to the Florida heat? And he said, I have. It's not England, it's not rainy, but it's the tactical change that has allowed him to get higher up the pitch. Then I went back and looked at the stats. And this year it's very balanced, whereas last year we saw predominantly down that right-hand side with Morgan. Now it's very, very even with the numbers, bringing Gibbs to this lineup.
Yeah, and Chris just talked about the 3, obviously Marksman as well. It's a 3-4-3 with 3 up front, and Gibbs' responsibility now is a little bit higher up the pitch. So we like to see Gibbs in these positions. And you talked about that as well, similar to Morgan as well, and all of a sudden we become a little bit more balanced and harder, hopefully, to defend. If Gibbs and Morgan can turn around, because Chicago plays out of a 3-5-2, they're 2 wide players in defense positions, then we gain territory there as well. These 2 guys, again, very important of keeping the balance when Morgan and Gibbs are allowed to go forward, and it's very important. But Gibbs has been, to me, such an important, Chris, I talked about that. He's a true left-footed player that knows how to play out of deep positions, makes great runs without the ball. And he always arrives at the right time. He scored a goal, obviously, against Nashville. He's a great crosser off the ball. He hit that ball, by the way, when it was still 0-0. I pinked up somebody's shoelaces over set piece as well. So he's given us what we need right now. Calm under pressure, great in making runs, and still keeping balance defensively as well, and helping McCoon.
Yeah, and I think that was an important part to touch on. How about the midfield too? Obviously, sometimes we see him go with a 2, sometimes with a 3, whether it's a Yoa, whether it's Pizarro rolling inside. What are we making up these 2 screens just sitting in?
Yeah, so for me, it's a job on for Matt Tweedy, because they more likely are going to play with 3 in midfield, 2 holders and an attacker, or 2 attackers and a holder with Jimenez, Herbers, and Stojanovic. That's 3 against 2. I'll be curious to see from a numbers perspective how they handle that, how much Matt Tweedy joins the attack, because I think the main difference between this lineup and everything that we've seen come before it is that Gibbs and Robinson are legitimate threats down the left, Morgan and Vasilev are legitimate threats down the right. So you have two wide threats. I think Inter Miami are trying to attack Chicago in wide areas. We look at the four options. This is as good of wide options as we've seen for Inter Miami. So it's about making sure that those two guys in the middle hold the fort, are not getting beat, are not getting overrun with the numbers that Chicago have in the middle, and then beating them in wide areas.
And a huge decision, Kaylyn, in taking Vasilev over Pizarro. This is a young player that's shown off the bench that he belongs, and one of the few that we saw from Morgan last year that can unlock a defense. He loves to run at people. He's cutting in and out. He gets behind people as well, and that creates problems and hopefully opens things for Higuain centrally.
So that's one. I love that you're right on cue. You're my Vanna White today, and I am feeling it. Higuain, obviously, his stats speak for himself. I think gets very hard done by in the media, but has 8 goals and 2 assists in a short amount of games, and no one really else producing within this squad. You touch on Vasilev, you can roll him out wide, you can roll him inside, create those overloads. So do you feel this is a better balanced front three, bringing a Robinson and Vasilev to make Higuain stay a little bit higher up the pitch and not dropping so defensively?
That's a great point.
Well, I think it's important for Inter Miami to keep possession of the ball, because I think that's when Higuain gets frustrated, is when they don't have the ball, when he's chasing, when everyone's chasing. They'll have to have the ball at some points. But for me, it's about how much service you're getting into Higuain in this match. That ultimately is, I think, what's lacked at times. He creates his own opportunities, but Vasilev and Morgan putting crosses in, Gibbs and Robinson, Gibbs more of a crosser, Robinson more about cutting inside. Can you get in this game another goal threat beyond Higuain, and can you get good service into Higuain? That's, I think, ultimately how we'll judge the attack tonight.
And even if you look at the Nashville game, Matuidi's great ball to Higuain, brilliant assist. Can you get something a little bit more centrally as well? Then you become even more balanced. You can hurt the team centrally, out wide, as Chris just mentioned, those names as well. That's still a work in progress. Let's be real honest. These guys have worked very hard defensively to stop teams from playing. Can they now give us something also in that middle and final third with being vertical and breaking down lines and giving Higuain opportunities to score goals?
It'll be interesting, too, once the game starts to open up. You look at our bench players like Pizarro, Federico Higuain can really come in and do damage here tonight. I can't wait. Kickoff just around the corner, but we have more just after the break. Stay with us.
The school bus.
The Zach wagon.
Wally.
No matter what you call your car or why you're letting it go, AutoNation will buy it, and you don't have to buy one from us. We're paying top dollar right now. So go to AutoNation.com or come see us for a super easy appraisal. Get paid on the spot, and you can deposit it the same day. Visit any AutoNation store or AutoNation.com. What drives you drives us.
For the community.
Because now I feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
To protect my patients.
Because I wanted to protect myself.
So I could go visit my mom.
To protect my husband.
I said yes to the COVID-19 vaccine because I have been the one present in the room with a patient's last breaths.
If more people were vaccinated, we could put an end to this pandemic and get back to some sense of normalcy.
Today tastes like a fresh start, like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds, and like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual, and it never tasted this good.
Rhythm. It flows through all of us. But rhythms change. That's why Ford SUVs are built to match your tempo.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here. The Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature Applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new Bourbon Bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Island?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone.
Get him on the table! I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
Welcome back to Drive Pink Stadium, home of Inter Miami. We got a lovely, lovely, lovely guest. And by the way, you've outdressed every single one of us.
Sharp
I
cat,
even
man.
put my
Sharp cat.
Jacket is
9-inch
extraordinary.
heels on, and you still
Yeah.
managed to outdress me. So,
Thank
Julius
you,
James,
thank
thank you so much for joining us here on the pregame show.
Thanks
You're
for
going to
having me.
sweat with us here. I apologize for that. So, tell us a little bit. Obviously, you're part of the Special Olympics here. What's your role?
I'm the head coach for the Special Olympics team for Inter Miami. We have actually been trying to get this off the ground since before the pandemic. We had trials, we spoke to coaches, we were in the community reaching out, and then the pandemic hit. So for this opportunity to come again and for us to take trips around and go to Atlanta United and play games and give the atmosphere of community and love is very great. But I'm the head coach, and we have Danny Kataya, and he will be assisting us with all the Special Olympics officials.
First off, what you're doing is incredible. It says a lot about who you are as a person and who you are as an individual. As someone that has a cousin with special needs, and athletics is her goal to success. She's
Yeah.
a better skier than me. She's a fantastic swimmer. I'll be skiing down the mountain. She's flying by me. I'm like, you need to be
Yeah,
in the Special
yeah,
Olympics. So,
yeah.
how did that come your way? What made you want to be part of the Special Olympics?
Well, I grew up also with a differently able uncle, and I saw how society treated him, and it gave me a heart for that at a young age. And when I came into the organization 2 years ago, I offered myself as a servant towards the organization and to give myself and more people with different abilities the opportunity to feel like a normal person and to feel even more elevated because they give us the chance to be more, right? They give us the chance to give back and to be more than who we actually are.
And I think that's one thing that you've just touched on. They are incredible human beings.
Absolutely.
They have the biggest hearts in the
Yep.
world, and they always see the good out of people. I was lucky enough to be part of Right to Play in Special Olympics Canada. So what you're doing, like I can't tell you enough. As many thanks as I have, it's not enough for what you're doing. So what is next for you? What tournaments around the corner? How do you select players for your team? Give us a little bit of insight with that.
Well, this started the planning process for this started 2 years ago. So again, we already had screenings, we had players, so everything was already kind of put down, and the opportunity arose recently. So it was just to put it into play, and you know, just let the blessings flow. You know what I mean?
It's great to see in this community. And for people that don't know, Julius James, by the way, represented his country many times, played on the highest level, played in several leagues like we all did. Talk about good human being, a lovable person, which you are. You're a hugger,
so much.
although you were a tough, hard-nosed defender, just like me. Didn't
Yep,
take any
yep,
prisoners.
yep.
It's so good for you to give back that we all trying to do in our own ways as
Yeah.
well. And that's brilliant.
And
Thank you.
how can we support and how can people
Yeah.
tune in and follow these games and these athletes and what you are doing here in the community? Is there a website or an Instagram account that we can give a shout out to these people tuning in right now?
Well, for now, everybody will just have to time into the Inter Miami pages to find out because we still getting the wheels rolling and trying to inspire other teams and other states and leagues to do it. We still in the building phase, but it is just very impressive how Inter Miami came together so quickly after the pandemic to give the opportunity to the community at large and it's just love and hope.
Are you still looking for players? Can people reach out to you, or you're pretty set right now with the
Well,
numbers?
yeah,
and-
we have a team right now.
Yeah.
We have a greater team because we screened about 50 people 2 years ago, and we have like a bunch of coaches that we spoke to and had meetings with. So it's a community. So we want to give the opportunity to everyone. So at some point we have a smaller team. It's not 11v11, but at some point we want to have a flow of players and of coaches and of community coming in here and just experiencing what it is like to feel like a player and feel like respected.
You should see him among those kids. I have to be at the facility here to look at an under 15 or 16 game, or you will on the field next to us.
You stalking me?
And
You stalking me,
I
son?
I am. Hey, with a satin jacket like that, yes, dude. I'm stalking you. Well dressed.
The only man that can wear satin,
Yeah,
in
satin.
the south of
Correct.
Florida and not be sweating 1 inch. You look
I'm
absolutely
well
classy.
acclimated. Thank
Correct.
you, guys.
But the love and passion you showed those kids on that day was beyond comprehension to me.
That's every
Brilliant.
day I come into practice, man. I give them everything.
So, what is Inter Miami as not only the community, but the organization? What have they done for you? What have they provided for you in order for this to be successful?
Wow. Just support, man. I retired from football about 2 years ago, and I was able to come in here and feel some kind of growth and responsibility for the community because I played here for Fort Lauderdale Strikers before, and to be able to come in and be in an organization that digs deep into the community and wants to have that relationship and want to build up the community is just incredible for me. So they gave me something that I always wanted to do, which is use my, you know, professionalism and my experience from playing on so many different teams and pour it into the community in a fun way. So yeah, the opportunity just to be more, right, to give back and to give to something that cannot give back to you, and to just be a better person is what Inter Miami gave me that opportunity in this situation to be.
Well, Julius, the kids are lucky to have you. Inter Miami is lucky to have you, and we are blessed to have you with us for the pregame show. Thank you so much. And if you ever need help, I'm a phone call away. I will give you my number because what I think you're doing is absolutely incredible, and
Thank
we're
you
doing
so
it in
much,
our own
Julius.
backyard. So I really, really appreciate it, and
Thank
thank you
you.
again for joining us, and enjoy
Thank
the
you.
match.
Should I hug you all on set, or is that could we come
Heck
in? Let's
yeah,
bring it in, man. Let's bring
I'm
it.
very
Oh God,
sweaty.
oh God.
I'm very sweaty. I'm
taking
sorry.
this off.
You're very huggable. I'm a huggable person. You know that, Julian. You're the best. Dude.
I'm
You're
so
the best.
sweaty. So nice to meet you. Thank you. I'm getting your suit sweaty. I apologize. Anyways, more to
Yes.
come after the break. That was. Doesn't
What a
it just
delightful man.
make you want to be a better person?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
God, my
Yes.
heart is so full. Anyways,
Yeah.
don't go anywhere because we still got more of the AutoNation Pre-Game Show.
Sure are a lot of different drivers out there, and AutoNation is here for every one of them. The go-getters, blinksters, haulers, even rock stars. We're America's largest and most admired automotive retailer, and we love getting you on the road. So to all the on-timers, hard workers, and get-out-of-towners, keep at it. What drives you drives us. AutoNation.
Rhythm. It flows through all of us. But rhythms change. That's why Ford SUVs are built to match your tempo.
Today tastes like a fresh start. Like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds. And like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual. And it never tasted this good.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here. The Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature Applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new bourbon bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Island?
They might be listening.
Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone. Get him on the table. I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you with the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
AutoNation is growing. America's largest and most admired automotive retailer is hiring for all positions at over 300 locations. Sales, service, support staff, and more. Apply online today at jobs.autonation.com.
Welcome into Dry Pink Stadium, home of Inter Miami, and also the AutoNation Pre-Game Show. I'm now officially by myself, but technically not, as the players are all behind me. Or players getting ready for this match, and obviously Chicago. I got some keys to the match, board keys to the match, but I also have some other people joining us. Not just yet, because they've literally had to speed up the stairs. What I will say, it's not as hot and humid, so these players are in for some luck. The last home match was at 6 p.m. It was a hot one. And just talking some of the players midweek, the mindset in and around the team. Obviously, they had those 4 games and a tough stretch where they played unbelievable, went to New York, 2 defensive errors. They came out on the front foot and were fantastic. But my forward keys to the match are quite simple. They're going up against the Chicago side that just have 2 wins in their last 46 road matches. So come out on the front foot. Don't allow Chicago to find their rhythm here this evening. And my second key to the match, we saw the starting 11. We rely so heavily on Gonzalo Higuain. So can we get Vasilev and both Robbie Robinson into that final third? Take your chances, take shots on target. Because if you look at the statistics, Gonzalo Higuain with 8 goals on the season, and the closest one behind that is Robbie Robinson with 2. So that final third, just the clinicalness here this evening against Chicago. Now, I think I have the guys back up in. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. I'm going to send you guys to break. That's my tease, because when I come back, we're heading up to radio for the first time ever to get a sneak peek at both Thomas Rongen and Chris Wittyngham.
AutoNation is growing. America's largest and most admired automotive retailer is hiring for all positions at over 300 locations. Sales, service, support staff, and more. Apply online today at jobs.autonation.com.
Today tastes like a fresh start. Like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds. And like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual. And it never tasted this good.
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF. Made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here. The Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new bourbon bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Island?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone. Get him on the table. I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you with the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
Welcome back into the AutoNation Pre-Game Show. And like promised, I'm not a liar. I will deliver on my promise. We have the guys joining us from the radio booth, both Thomas Rongen, Chris Wittyngham. You guys, were you guys walking backwards? It took you long enough to get up there. How are the sights and sounds up there? Because it's actually cooled off down here.
I'm waving. I'm waving at you right now, Kaylyn. There you go. It's beautiful, AC. It's about 72 degrees. Delightful.
Wow. Not rubbing it in at all. I will say your new studio looks fantastic. So tell our viewers where they can catch you guys on the radio for these games, for both home and away and nationally televised games.
Yeah, indeed. You can check us out, Inter Miami CF app. Go to the radio audio function and also on the Inter Miami website as well, intermiamicf.com. Myself, Thomas Rongen, Fernando Fiore, bring you the audio commentary. Maybe you can even pop it on here in the stadium, have an AirPod in as you watch the game, and have a little accompaniment during the game. So check us out this evening for Inter Miami and Chicago Fire.
Chris, I just want to say that sounded like that was pre-recorded and hit play on. Well done to you. I think my hosting duties are officially done. Now, I do want to say one thing, Chris. You will be on the broadcast on Saturday, correct? The little
Yes,
birdie
indeed.
might have told me that.
Yes, indeed.
Sorry, Thomas. We're leaving you.
Yeah,
We're leaving you high and dry.
I'm ditching Thomas. I'm ditching Thomas to join yourself.
You're
Henry
taking the
Hudson on
fancy
Saturday
lad
night.
away from me.
You guys can't get away from me. Now for viewers obviously tuning in, the sights and sounds, you guys are a little bit higher up the pitch and you're not, some 9 times out of 10 we're shooting in a studio with monitors. So what's it like being actually in a stadium calling a match?
It's absolutely brilliant. When I was the chief scout for the U.S. men's national team, I would go the first half high behind a goal, so I could really look at the connection of a team. Depth was a little bit harder. Second half, I would go midfield, which are pretty close, up high again. So it's a brilliant way to call a game, and you feel part of it. The only thing I wish we could open this window. Remember,
Open the window. Yeah.
To feel the fans and the atmosphere, would be brilliant.
Which we still do feel through our headsets, by the way, with the microphones we have throughout the stadium. But yeah, I mean, from a personal standpoint, I'd actually never called games in a stadium until I started working here. So for me, it has been a total pleasure just to enjoy. Really, I mean, we talk a lot about tactics on the pre-match show, and so to really get a clear picture of not just what you see on television, but the scenes beyond that, how the whole picture of the game looks, is just a total joy.
Unique vantage
And
points.
I think it's one great thing about your guys' two minds that when I go back and watch these shows, for fans tuning in, maybe it's their first soccer match that they've ever watched. You guys break it down in a very articulate way where everyone can understand it. You might not understand Thomas's drawing board. And if you don't, it's okay. Just have a little drink of water. I'm not allowed to talk about alcohol on the pregame show anymore because it got to be a bit excessive for myself. But you guys do such a fantastic job of your research, breaking it down for, viewers that are first timers or viewers that have been watching this for 40 plus years.
Well, thank you, Kaylyn.
You guys paid me to say that, right? It's in my notes.
You're part of this whole process, and you've been part of this from day one, just like us. And we bleed these colors, and I mean that sincerely. Regardless of the fact that I played in the same field, et cetera, et cetera, it's nice to be part of something special. He's the intelligent one. You of them. I'm a downtown Amsterdam guy that talks more about the X's and O's in a coaching way, and I think it's a great marriage. I've really enjoyed it, and I know that Chris has done the same. And doing the pregame with you is special as well.
Oh, thank you guys. Well, I just had Victoria Beckham walk by me, and it just brought me back to my Spice Girl days. I didn't want to fangirl. I'm trying to keep it cool, but I will say a little bit. 2012 Olympics. I'm throwing it back to myself and giving myself props. Spice Girls performed at the closing ceremonies.
Oh my
Guys,
God.
I don't remember too much, but what I remember, phenomenal. With that being said, players are about to head inside here. National anthems around the corner. Inter Miami again playing host to Chicago here this evening. Can we get back onto winning ways? We have 2 wins at home at our last home matches, and can we make it a third here this evening? Enjoy the match wherever you are in the world, and thank you so much for tuning into the AutoNation pregame show.
Slow stare, easy on the eyes, moving slowly like shadows in the night. There will be a reckoning, there will be a rise, something like you've never seen. The time has come. If looks could kill, it looks good, it looks good. If looks could kill. If looks could kill, it looks good, it looks good. Looks could kill. You'd be dead right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that we are able to announce the launch of the official Inter Miami CF Special Olympics Unified Team. The Special Olympics Unified Team will be representing Inter Miami on the field against other Special Olympics teams from around the league. The team is made up of kids and young adult athletes with intellectual and developmental disabilities and unified partners. Their first game will be later this season against Atlanta United at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Please give a warm welcome to the following players for your Inter Miami CF Special Olympics Unified Team. Alain Figueroa, Curry, Robert Nicolas, Kamar Green, Peter Reese, Leandro Marquez, Eduardo Marquez, Daniel Alonso,